I love eating and I love cooking, but like you, I always feel I'm in a hurry and it can be hard trying to fit everything in. Children, work, family, everything else life throws at you. And I am not prepared to sacrifice a single meal. But I got the answer. In a word, it's express. I love everything about Italy, but I'm particularly passionate about its food. And the thing is, you don't need a whole host of clever tricks and cheats to make Italian food fast, because the Italian way is naturally the express way. For me, linguine with lemon and garlic mushrooms, perfect pasta pronto. For the family, a cosy classic, chicken alla cacciatora, a real one-pot wonder. And for my Italian friend, an easy and elegant dinner. That's Calabrian lamb chops with chilies and olives, followed by a feather-light whipped cream amaretto syllabub. And how about this, an instant Italian feast of marsala honey pears with gorgonzola and irresistible antipasti. So, avanti, it's the Italian Express, and how could you not? I do know that there is so much more to Italian food than pasta, but you've got to admit, it is something that makes our daily lives so much better. I'm making linguine with mushrooms, garlic and thyme, and this is so easy, you don't even cook it. By the time the pasta's ready, the sauce is done. The mushrooms I use are chestnut mushrooms, about 100 grams, 125 grams. They are raw, and you get every bit of their beautiful boskiness this way. What I love too is the contrast between the rather sombre, darker brown of the outline and that bright paleness of the interior. It's a painting on a plate. Now in the mushrooms go, the dish. Now olive oil, I want about 2 tablespoons of really good extra virgin olive oil. I often say don't bother, just use regular olive oil, but here, because I'm not cooking it, you get every bit of its gorgeous peppery flavour. Garlic, about a clove. I say about, what I mean is mince or grate a clove until you get to the bit which might make you cut your fingers. It's quite hot when it's raw, so not too much. Lemon, just a small lemon, but the zest as well as the juice. And this, you see, is so simple, the sharpness of the lemon, the depth of the olive oil. It's a very glorious commingling of flavours. A good teaspoonful of coarse salt, or half a teaspoon of table salt, though I really would prefer you use this salt. And a good grating of pepper. I like to use white pepper, and I don't know whether it's just because I prefer its glorious muskiness or it's because my mother always used it. And some thyme, just a few leaves ripped from a couple of sprigs. It's an insidious game, this thing of favourites in food and children, but I think thyme is my favourite herb. The mush around, and that's what I'm doing for now. Not that I'm doing that much later. The pasta has had its time. I want some of the water because the starchiness of the water the pasta has cooked in helps the sauce emulsify later. It's an old Italian trick, and they know what they're doing. I'm going to drain it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Quick little toss through. Add my water. This really turns it into a sauce. What's so wonderful about a pasta sauce as simple as this is that it doesn't mask the pasta itself. You taste all its semolina sweetness. Generous amount parmesan, maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls. And I keep the rind to flavour soups as and when. Bit of roughly torn parsley to add a note of leafy grassiness. Ease everything through. bowl, and there's nothing left for me to do save eat with joy in my heart. One of the things about express cooking is not just that the food doesn't take very long to cook, but that it gives you more time to do other things. I mean, like me now, I'm not in the kitchen, and I've got a very nice menu tonight, Calabrian lamb chops and amaretto syllabub, but I'm not worried in the slightest, because one of the things I love about Italians, apart from their food, is their love of shopping, and I'm taking a leaf out of their book and spending a bit of money myself. I need to buy some ribbon to make a hairband for my daughter, but I have to say, when I see all these spools of ribbon here, I am overcome with consumerist desire. Anyway, this will do for her. Dull but necessary. Oh, but this is fabulous. I can tie this round my napkins for my Italian dinner. No sewing either. One of the wonderful things about Italian food is that it rarely involves lengthy, difficult processes. It's all about flavour and ingredients. And no one does lamb cutlets like the Italians. I'm making my Calabrian lamb cutlets, and I start off thus. This is not because I harbour any ill will towards the chops, but just because I want them to be really tender and I want them to cook fast. And they're thinner now, so they will. Let's just double wrap in case of spillage before I start on their marinade. And I've got a Calabrian friend coming over for supper, so I wanted to give her a taste of home. 2 garlic cloves. I'm slicing them because after the chops have marinated, I am going to fry them in their marinade. It'll be nice to have slithers of garlic. In they go. And about 3 tablespoonfuls of black olives once they're chopped. I love the haunting brininess of the olives against the sweet meat of the lamb chops. In they go. Some oil, a really good glug, about 4 tablespoons really, of olive oil, and this helps keep the chops wonderfully juicy, and I want them juicy, juicy, juicy. And now for the Calabrian fire. A teaspoon of crushed chilies, the same amount of oregano, and the same again, 1 teaspoon of salt. I want the zest and juice of a whole fat lemon. Oh, it just smells like holidays doing this. That's all the zest out. Now, the juice. And I always like a bit of impaling. And it's the acid in the lemon as well that helps keep the chops so tender. I'm going to leave the chops to marinate just for 20 minutes, so there's no need for them to go in the fridge. But you, venite con me. Drinks cabinet. Now this bears testimony to many a foreign jaunt, although you can tell pretty instantly that most of my holidays are taken in Italy. I've got some sambuca. This was my tipple of choice when I was a chambermaid in Florence. And, delicious, some tuaca. That's like panettone in liqueur form. And I'm very fond of this Italian vermouth. It's not that I love the taste, it's that it reminds me of my granny, because she always drank that with gin for her gin and it. And I've got some black sambuca, which I bought recently, last year in Italy, but I've been too frightened to open it because it looks so spooky. You can see, however, that I've made quite a bit of headway in my amaretto, which I need now for my amaretto syllabub. The Italian word for pudding is dolce, sweet, and the dolce I am making is amaretto syllabub, sort of half Italian, half English, totally fabulous. About 80 mils of amaretto. 2 tablespoons of sugar and just about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then some cream. The great thing about this is there is no cooking involved at all, just a bit of light whisking. I'm just trying to get the sugar dissolved into the lemon and amaretto, and then gradually whisk in a 284 millilitre tub of double cream. I want this gently whisked, just whipped to soft peaks. So I don't need the heavy machinery, saves on the washing up, anything to make life easier. There we are. And now, the second sort of amaretto, and these are like almond macaroons. I bought the soft ones simply because if I get the hard little round cookies, I'll have to use the rolling pin to bash them, which means washing it up, drying it up, and not in the mood. So on top of that lovely spongy base, I'm going to dollop mounding spoonfuls of my ivory cream. And one more soft amaretto to crumble, gold dust on top. So into the fridge with these, and on with the dance. Oh, I want these sugar snaps to go with the lamb cutlets. Let's put this on the heat. A tablespoonful of oil for the cutlets. These babies out of their marinade. I like them really pink and juicy, so I would say 3 minutes on the first side, 2 minutes on the second. Speedy, speedy. It really is the smell of a Mediterranean evening. Last one, baby. That's it. Beautiful. Turn the chops over. I said earlier that I've got an Italian friend coming round for supper, and I have. And I really don't think you can feed an Italian without having bread on the table. And what I've got are breadsticks and my own breadstick holder. I love it. Perfect. And waste not, want not. Tip the remains of the marinade in. Oh, there's tumbling pieces of olive and garlic and chilli. Can't wait. A little bit of water. Doesn't have to be hot water, I just can't be bothered to go to the sink. And really this is just to get every last bit of flavour out of the marinade. To be honest, it's gravy. Put the sugar snaps onto steam. In they go. And I'm going to turn the steamer off because they will get warm but retain their crunch this way. These are ready now. Quick prod. Bouncily yielding, which tells me they're still going to be lovely and pink and juicy within. I'm going to turn the heat off. The lid on so they'll stay warm. And get my table sorted. It's lovely to see you. Come
Thank you.
Okay, a little taste of Italia.
Grazie. Yum, it looks delicious.
It tastes delicious. I'm going to give you some of these now, if you just don't mind.
Thank you.
How's your day been?
My day is very busy.
Oh, relax now. Oh, I've got you an Italian pudding as well.
Thank you.
Well, I say Italian, but it's like a mixture of English and Italian because it's a syllabub, which is English, but I have Italian flavours in your honour because I have amaretto.
Amaretto very Italian. Penso che sia molto buono.
I hope you think so.
It's so good. Tastes the same like my mom would do it.
Oh, darling, thank you.
Thank you for dinner.
You're lovely to feed. You don't get wrinkles in your hands because you've got muscles there. It's just Darling, can I have a go on your skateboard? Okay. Could I have one of you on one side a bit more? Hold it, Miller. Shall I try and go now? When I was young, my grandmother used to bring us here to the Italian Gardens in Hyde Park. And of course, we didn't know any better. Despite the fact that we were all freezing, we thought this was what Italy was like. And at least when we went back to her house, we got a more authentic Italian experience because she'd always make us a warm bowl of chicken cacciatora. And I have to say, I make that for my children now, though admittedly a lazy, quick, express version. Very easy. Pollo alla cacciatora is the essence of warming, heartening Italian home cooking. To be honest, what it really means is chicken the hunter's way, and this hunter is a lazy hunter. She does everything in half the time and with a quarter of the effort. I'm starting off with a tablespoonful of garlic oil, but if you want to, use ordinary oil and fling in a clove of garlic. Let's get this on the heat. No point shilly-shallying. And I'm going to snip in a few spring onions because I really can't be bothered to peel and chop a proper onion. Anyway, the children find these more palatable. I'm giving myself an excuse for my lazy ways. And I need about half a packet of streaky bacon. Just in little strips and slices so it melts and gives up its gorgeous juices. Just the smell of bacon frying makes my tummy rumble. Not that it takes a lot, it has to be said. And we're making chicken alla cacciatora, so it seems only fair to add chicken. I've been lazy with this too because it's chicken thigh fillet, no skin, no bone, ready chopped, 500 grams. Give a little stir. Half a teaspoon of celery salt. This saves me chopping up a stalk of celery. Some wine, about half a glass, to add resonance and flavour. Pomodori. A whole can of chopped tomatoes. A couple of bay leaves. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of sugar, which is not really that much, but just because I sometimes find that canned tomatoes have too much acidity. That should sort them out. I want some wonderfully resiny rosemary, just about a teaspoon when it's chopped, but don't worry, if you haven't got any fresh rosemary, use a quarter of a teaspoon of dried. And in it goes. Look at that, red, white and green. Colours of the Italian flag. And when it comes to a bubble properly, I shall clamp on a lid, turn it down slightly, and when it's had 20 minutes, it's done. All I need to do then is drain a can of cannellini beans, bung them in, let them warm through, don't have to bother with potatoes. Okay, Bambini, supper's ready. Alrighty. Okay, Mimala?
Oh. Can I start?
Yes, you may, darling.
Oh, my belly.
How much homework have you got?
Doing a science project on arthropods. Do you know what an arthropod is?
He does know what an arthropod is. I know I knew once.
Is that feet joints?
He's a clever girl.
They're right.
I love having people round to eat. My aim in life is to exude Italian-style hospitality, and I want a table laden with fine things to eat. But you know, Italians don't have any more hours in the day for cooking than I do. But the thing about them is they are perfectly happy to go and buy their food ready-made if it's good. And so am I. I mean, if it's good enough for the Italians, it's certainly good enough for me. And I tell you, it is the express route to a truly fabulous dinner. But my only problem in a shop like this is stopping myself from buying absolutely everything. There are 5 of us eating tonight. I'm going to cook one thing, which is my marsala honey pears with gorgonzola, and I must go and get some of that. But first, I'm going to plunge myself in the antipasti department. Hello?
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Due etti. Those and those with the chilies, please.
Sì, signore.
Bravo. Carciofi alla romana e spinaci.
Piovra.
Piovra.
Grazie.
Grazie
Buonasera.
lei. Thank you. You see, dinner is practically served. You know, you could quite easily serve nothing but all that fabulous shopping. But, you know, I want to be part of it all, and it feels to me more like a party if I'm actually joining in and doing a bit of cooking. And when I say a bit, I really mean a bit, teeny-weeny bit. Because if you fiddle with something and add your own touch, I think it makes a big difference. I don't peel the pears, I don't de-stalk them, I don't core them. I mean, I think they look beautiful like this, kind of woodsy, but really I'm just lazy. Let's get them in the pan. Just ordinary olive oil, not extra virgin. They don't take very long to cook, a couple of minutes aside. When the pears have been cooked, I drench them in some marsala, which is really a fortified wine. Think of a very musky sherry. And some honey, lovely amber colours both. Just whisk these together. And now I'm going to unwrap the cheese. I think it is so much nicer to have one generous wodge of just one cheese than lots of little slices of many. And for me, gorgonzola is the king of the cheese board. Oh, and later, as this stands, it's all going to start bulging and oozing out on the plate. I'll turn the pears now. They've had enough for one side. Lovely. The pears are perfectly cooked now, golden on either side. So, quick final whisk with the marsala and honey, and in it goes. Oh, and it bubbles up so well that this really becomes a syrup. Oh, couldn't be happier. Beautiful glazed pieces of pear now to adorn my cheese plate. And I want to let the juices carrying on, bubbling away, so that I can add the walnuts and they become dark and sticky. And the contrast between this slightly scorched, caramelized fruitiness with the saltiness of the gorgonzola is frankly just rapturous. And then you can toss some walnuts in the dark juices that remain and almost caramelize them. All you really need to do is shake the walnut halves in the scorched syrup for a bit and then add them to the pears, and that is all the cooking you need to do. And what I love about this antipasti dinner is that there's no effort involved and everything ends up looking as beautiful as a still life. Olives. Ah, these look wonderful. Look at that. Ah, my spinaci. Anchovies have got such a bad press because everyone always knows those rusty, over-salted ones. These are glorious. Yum, yum. I think there's something rather wonderful when you do a feast like this about going for foods that you just wouldn't cook. I mean, it would take me hours, if not days, to make this octopus salad, and I wouldn't do it. Same goes for the artichokes, like edible roses. I mean, you could put everything on one big platter, and that has its charm, but I rather love the piecing together of a huge feast with all these dishes dotted around the table with flickering tea lights in between. The poetry of food. Salami, because it's good to have familiar tastes as well as unfamiliar. I'm tearing off small, silky strips of ham, my San Daniele ham, so people can snaffle up small slices at will. Ciabatta is called ciabatta because it means slipper, which is what these look like. On top of all this, I'm going to put some Vinsanto on the table, which is like a bottle of Malta wine, and to dip in some cantuccini, which are like almond-studded little biscuits. And I think this means a lot of journeys upstairs, but you know what? There's so much to eat. I think a bit of exercise now wouldn't do me any harm. That's octopus, so
It's octopus.
be brave.
Yeah.
Does anyone like artichoke?
There you go, artichoke, thank you.
Katie, have some cheese for yourself.
No, it's
Very good, that's very proper size slab.
Hey, what do you ask for, son?
What have the pears got on them?
Honey and marsala.
Wow.
And I throw the walnuts in that syrup and they almost get like toffee. Enjoy the dunking. There isn't Ottoman time, wasn't there? There was a huge academic paper written on dunking of biscuits.
Is there a record how long you can leave it in there before it falls
You
off?
can tell us.
Oh, it's lovely.
9 seconds is just about right.
No, I got 12. I don't think you'd want too much of this, would you?